This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
Welcome back to Off the Break Podcast, your podcast dedicated to current movie theater news, operations, and insights from the people that book the movies. I'm Kyle, and joining me as always is Cody and Ken.
Hello.
All right. Bye-bye 2021. Let's get out of here.
The last week of 2021. That's crazy.
It's been pretty good these last couple weeks.
Bye, Felicia.
Let's remember, but there was more that happened in 2021 than just these past few weeks.
I know, but we're ending on a really good note.
Cody's
so
like,
I'm
December 17th is basically the entire year.
It wasn't that bad.
My year got good on that date. So I'm living in
I think everyone in the
time.
industry
Cody's
had a
been
good year with that date.
Yeah, Cody's been smoking cigarettes in the office since that happened.
just big old cigars.
Popping champagne.
If I had a stock ticker, I'd be excited.
Yeah, this year was crazy. It was crazy. But we made it through.
Lots of ups, lots of crazy downs. Remember when like Godzilla was the biggest movie ever? Like a $40 million opening?
Yeah.
We're like, it's back.
Signs of life.
I feel
heartbeat.
like 2021 blurs so much with 2020 that it feels like 2020 was actually like an 18-month year. Just something so weird. I don't really have a good, like 2021 started here, and I really feel like 2021 really was from like May on.
Oh yeah,
that was 2021.
Whenever Godzilla came out, I don't even remember, but whenever it came out, literally that's when my year started.
Yeah.
January, February, beginning of March, no idea. No idea what
nothing.
happened.
Well,
We have podcasts to prove what happened, but I don't remember.
Yeah, after Wonder Woman bombed and nothing else worked at Christmas, everything moved again.
Oh, I know. It was so bad. But then May came, summer started, and things stuck. I mean, there was still a little movement, but things stuck. They opened, and it was like so there was some money to be made. And
Vaccines were becoming more and more available, so that like definitely helped quite a bit to make things, be set more than they were previously.
And we just had consistent product every week. Like something new came out every week. It wasn't a lot, and it probably won't be a lot moving forward, but it was consistent, and that was really nice.
I remember when May was coming around, pretty much we had an episode where we were like, oh my gosh, there's things in May every week. And good or bad, it's going to be amazing.
I know.
And it was a good time.
We actually had trailers to talk about.
Yeah.
We were like, we've seen some trailers.
It was normal to an extent. But yeah, I mean, not everything about the year was perfect, but there was a steady incline.
24 movies in 2021 that did over $50 million, which is crazy.
Whoa. Yeah.
As compared to last year when there was zero movies that made $0.
No, remember we had the beginning. So we had like Bad Boys, and we had a few. Bad Boys 1917.
Yeah, the 2020.
Sonic, Jumanji after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars after the fact. I mean, but we only had 12.
We were
twice as many.
We were coming in hot in 2020, and then bam, crashed.
Yeah, we were ready. We were like, this year's going to be awesome. Nothing bad is going to happen at all.
And then 18 months or so.
I remember this whole thing started.
Like, oh, we're back.
When this whole thing started, and like the pandemic of 1918 lasted 18 months, and everybody's like, we're going to knock this out in 18 days.
Yeah.
All this technology.
All the technology. No one's crazy.
My iPhone can't catch it. We're going to kill this. Yeah. Nope. 18 months later, still rolling in the deep.
Yeah. We are. But we're not going to let Omicron get us down. Not this year. No, this is where we take our stand.
Yeah,
or any year.
What are you, French?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, that's a topic for down the road.
Soft-hearted Frenchies.
But should we talk about Christmas? Should we talk about what happened during Christmas? Anything exciting outside of... Well, I guess we start with Spider-Man, right?
Well, it was just, can you give any more screen time to Spider-Man? Because that is the only thing making money right now.
Yep.
And what we saw was, going into it, we knew we were going to give so much screen time to Spider-Man. Great. That was set. But we knew that we could not book, too many negatives there, a Universal title. So you had to take Scene. You couldn't take Warner, so you took Matrix. And you couldn't shut out Disney, so there was Kingsman. And then anything after that, you had to have a pretty big complex to add in any screens after that of any other product. So Nightmare Alley kind of got the shaft a little bit. Journal for Jordan.
We had to wait
American
on West Side
Underdog.
Story places.
Yeah.
I mean, that was 12:10 we had to wait on.
Right.
We couldn't
What?
take.
West Side Story. I mean, so there were definitely some losers that got shut out a little bit in the mayhem, but
Journal for Jordan surprised me. I was very surprised that it didn't get a little bit more than what it got.
It
Really?
was-
I'm not
Sony
surprised at all.
Sony had 2 movies, and Spider-Man was going to work, so they put
Yeah.
all of their eggs in one basket, and it worked. But they just wasted a Denzel Washington, Michael B. Jordan movie.
Yeah, I
Didn't
just
need
I
to
just
come
thought
out.
I'm sure
Christmas
that
might be
that-
able to bring in a crowd of some kind. But
I'm sure that was not all of Sony's decision. You know, the release dates are definitely decided by distribution, but the creative side of things gets a say too, especially when you have a powerful producer like Denzel Washington and
yeah, definitely.
stuff in it. So I don't know how much that producers played a role in this, but if you are looking at this, and I would have told any producer, no, there are a couple things wrong with Journal for Jordan at Christmas. It's sad. We all know he's going to die. No one wants to cry on Christmas. This is like more of a love story, and this is really directed towards women. And right now, women are taking kids to the movies and families and, you know, grandparents and stuff. So they're not going for themselves. They're not going to take anybody to this. So
Sure.
I really think that they would have been so much better off having pushed this to Valentine's Day, where you wanted a love story that maybe ends in tragedy and that it's more palpable at that time.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense.
it's another one of my rules. No one wants to see scary rated R, you know, horror films, and nobody wants to cry. Okay. Nobody wants to cry on Christmas. Just keep that in mind, distribution people.
Yeah. Good thought to have.
Kyle, you want to laugh?
Sure.
Movies that have grossed more than Journal for Jordan in 2021. Voyagers. Remember that giant turd?
Oof.
Pig.
Great movie, by the way. My favorite of the year,
Voyagers
actually.
came out in 2021.
Yeah.
I can't believe Pig grossed more, though. Like,
Reminiscence.
no one thought that. No one saw that movie.
Boogie.
That's a good movie. Good for that.
Cop Shop.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
that was a
surprising,
little
too.
distributor, so
Yeah.
I'm glad that one did.
Yeah.
Those Who Wish Me Dead.
Which one was that one? Oh, wait, no, I did see that one.
Yeah, the Angelina Jolie firefighting.
Oh, wow.
movie.
That was during
Yeah.
that was during
And then-
May, where
and then-
everything was awesome that month.
And then
Yeah.
93 more films.
That is insane.
And those
Like,
are the
even
ones that were like, whoa.
I saw that even Licorice Pizza, when it finally opened wide, grossed slightly more than a Journal for Jordan. But even I was like,
At
who
half
is-
as many
if-
screens.
who is seeing a Paul Thomas Anderson movie over a Michael B. Jordan movie? I'm sorry, that doesn't compute to
If by
me.
slightly more,
Yeah.
you mean double? Double the amount
Okay,
of
I'm-
grossing tickets?
I'm not remembering the number quite right then,
Yeah.
but
It was crazy.
my point
amount.
still stands.
I know.
Yeah.
I
It was just, it was a waste of this film. The release date
It
was
was
bad.
That's
the
a
release
it's a
date,
bummer.
That is
Somebody-
purely on the release date. There
cr-
was
the
too much
creatives
star
pushed
power,
it.
and it was too good of a story to be wasted at Christmas.
Yeah, you're probably
It's
right.
Valentine's Day, Father's Day,
Yeah. It's any
even a
time in
Mother's
this-
Day movie.
Yeah.
I mean, God, Veterans Day. We had a hole in November. Could have made
That's
that work.
right. That's that. Well,
Could have made that work.
shoot.
But we got Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, they did have that then.
Yeah, so the biggest problem at Christmas was just juggling everything,
Right.
and you just had some screens underperform, and because you had to go out and make sure every company was represented.
Mm-hmm.
And Kingsman, you knew was like the fourth picked, a film after all the others, and so you just knew that screen wasn't going to do great. You were hoping maybe Journal for Jordan, American Underdog would pull in some business, but you just knew that they weren't going to compete with Spider-Man. And Spider-Man really sucked the life out of everything else.
Oh yeah.
And we saw some things like Encanto, West Side Story holding up, right? Even with Sing coming out, but then we found it was day and date on Disney Plus, and you just saw those grosses just fall like a rock once
Right.
that happened. So, it kind of sucks having to hold something and then just see all the business go away in it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still really thankful. The screens that had Spider just so overperformed.
It's crazy.
It actually caused more of an operational headache than anything. I know that several locations, it's been so slow, and they've had a really hard time getting people to work, as lots of industries and lots of businesses are dealing with now. Theaters, though, are pretty well known to underpay staff. They minimum wage job, entry level, and just getting people to do that is really, really hard. And so it was very overwhelming, I think, for a lot of locations. I think that's something that's not seen or really talked about, but they were understaffed across the board on this.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know that we locally had a bad experience at a Regal theater because they were just so understaffed that, we just walked in, didn't get any concessions. Regal missed concessions with us.
I looked at their day of sales. I was able to see their grossing. They did $15,000 in ticket sales and had 2 employees on staff that day.
Yeah.
Those
there was
poor high
one
schoolers, they don't have a clue.
There was one in the box and one in concession. It just...
Oh, no.
I think that's just so emblematic of what's happening everywhere with that. And I know for a lot of our locations, they really struggled with staffing as well. And the staff having to stay late to clean because they haven't had janitors and things like that. It just... Operational wise, it's a real challenge. So while you're super thankful for the amount of business you got, nobody was geared up and ready for that. And
Oh yeah. You could
caused
even
some issues.
You could even do anything possible to try and make it work, but the fact of the matter is, odds are, they just were badly understaffed, or unfortunately understaffed, I should say.
Yeah.
And that doesn't really surprise me in the least to hear stuff like that.
No,
it's unfortunate.
No, it sucks for the location, and as you're welcoming all these people back, it's not the best foot forward to make sure that everybody had such a great experience that they remember the theater over the streamer. So I think it plays a little bit into that, but when you have a good product like Spider-Man, when you have something everybody wants to see, they'll risk everything to see it, but it's just how many of those come along, and you've got to make that experience stellar so that when something not as important as Spider-Man comes out, then they still want to come see it.
Yeah, luckily there's clearly repeat viewings happening, and there's clearly more than a great amount of buzz happening with this movie, but how often is this going to be coming along?
Whew.
No,
And that's just the unfortunate question that we have.
You have to get people in with these big ones, get them reacquainted to the theater experience, which is what we've been saying for 18 months.
Yeah.
No kidding.
But this was an opportunity to get people who were not going to go to the movies into the movie theater, because they were going to get drug in by a son, a daughter, a nephew, a niece to see Spider-Man because it was that special of a movie. But if you didn't capitalize on this, we have a long 6 weeks before we have anything that's real noteworthy.
Yeah, January is looking tough.
And
even with Morbius
is a tough one to call, I think.
Okay.
It's not as well known as Venom.
If you're a Marvel person,
yeah,
it's exciting. If you watch the cartoons in the 90s, sure, this is going to be great for you. But if you're running a small town theater and you count on families, like you're going to a movie with a vampire in it, you're not taking kids to that.
Yeah.
Right. No, and I don't know if Sony's going to keep it there, to be honest with you. They did pull back the advanced ticket sales date, and they've not reannounced when that date is going to be. And they're more of an international company than I think people realize, and so they're really seeing what Omicron is doing, and they're not going to waste a Morbius if Omicron crosses a huge wave. They're just not going to waste it at that time. So I think everybody's a little hesitant about release dates moving forward, and I think they're just watching it. And we'll get a new advanced ticket sales date at some point.
They'll announce it soon.
What was that word you just used?
What?
Omicron.
Ermagerd.
Yeah, there's another Ermagerd.
Get out of here with that.
Coming out.
Well, yeah.
Well, we should talk about how the other films fared. We all know Spider-Man sucked the wind out of everybody's sails, but Sing 2 didn't do too bad.
Yeah, seems like it. 5-day opening was pretty good. It almost matched what the first movie's 5-day opening did, I think.
Yeah.
So,
and it was cute. We went and saw it. Took the boys to it on a Monday. That never happens, but I love the holidays.
That's your busy day.
Ooh, super busy day, but I snuck out and took the kids to sing. And I had a hard time getting into it. I thought the beginning was very, very slow. All of the story I felt happened in the third act. It was just slow for me. But the kids seemed to really enjoy it, and it had a lot of good music in it, so not bad.
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. The only thing I would have changed is having Bono as this mysterious main character.
What's wrong with Bono?
The lion had no
just
charisma.
Anyone else? You already put
Yeah.
tarot card. What's his face as the gorilla?
Taron Egerton?
Yeah, tarot card. What's his
Oh, I was like, okay, I'll roll with it. See if he fixes it.
face? You already put him in there for international audiences.
He's so good.
We don't need
that
we don't need
character's
Bono.
the best.
What is this movie made for? Northern Ireland audiences. Nobody cares about Bono anymore. We have a million. Make it Drake. Make it anybody. Make it anyone. Make it Kanye, for crying out loud. Just so that the person's voice has some personality and you can tell who it is. I had to look it up after the fact.
You know this is a movie for 8-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want a gravelly old man lion.
Yeah, he wasn't gravelly.
I thought
He had Botox on his voice.
Okay, then a Botoxy lion.
Okay, fine then. Put Keith Richards as the lion.
There you go. That's who
kids
kids like.
Steven Tyler. Let's get aggressive here.
Actually, Steven Tyler would be
There's
fantastic.
plenty of old-timey blues guitar players we got to put in a lion underneath a lion on screen and made it work. Freaking Bono, get out of here.
Man, even that's probably like a casting for adults who have to go to these movies, and even that didn't seem like it worked.
I think I'm just mad because Apple put the U2 album on my iPhone like 25 years ago.
Oh, we never forgive them for that.
No. So I have no love for Bono.
Yeah. That was awful. That was an awful idea. No one wants that.
Yeah, the kids seemed to enjoy it all right though, so that was good.
Yeah, and that's what matters most.
And then, Kingsman didn't really perform, and you saw that one.
I did.
What were the issues with Kingsman?
It just felt tired.
And it was headed by a real uggo, right? Not
Actually, he
attractive
was
guy.
kind of a wet blanket, I will
Yeah.
admit. Like, he wasn't... I mean, he was 5, but, like, he didn't...
It looks like
He's not a Taron
gravitate
Egerton.
me.
keeps
I
his-
can't believe I didn't even think about that, but this has been like a 3-year-long thing with this guy in this movie on the podcast, and it's finally coming full circle.
Yeah.
And we might actually
And
move
you
on
agree
from
with
it
me.
now.
He was
It's like he keeps...
He wasn't ugly. He's just a wet blanket. That I will agree.
He's not
with.
attractive.
It looks
and
like
he's
he
wet
keeps
blanket.
his face under a wet blanket when he's not on screen. Kind of. It looks like his face is melting.
Just wasn't like charismatic on screen. Like you had
kind
to
of
have
felt
somebody
it,
like
yeah.
Taron Egerton that was like had personality.
Yeah, who
in
could
it.
stand toe-to-toe with, like, the other charismatic actors
Yeah.
who have, like, legacy over him.
Colin
and-
Firth and Mark Strong in
Yeah.
the first two.
And this one has Ralph Fiennes, and
Yeah.
he's great. Like, he's basically carrying the movie, but the movie kind of forgot that it was part of a franchise, and a franchise that definitely had its own style and tone to it. Outside of, like, the action, which was too few of scenes, in my opinion, that part was really good, but it just didn't quite mesh. Like, it takes place in, like, the early 1900s as compared to the current day movies that we had, but despite that backdrop, they still should have tried to find a way to, like, still make it feel like it was part of the franchise and just not something completely and tonally different from the other two. And
Was Rasputin a good villain or was he just gross? Because I get that from the trailers. He's just so gross.
he was gross and amazing, and he was taken away from the movie far too soon.
Really?
Like, he was easily one of the best parts, and they were like, all right, that was fun, now you go away. And they don't use him throughout
but
the rest
he's
of the
in,
movie.
He's in all the advertising.
I know,
like-
because he's the best part of the movie. He's literally, if Ralph Fiennes wasn't in this movie, he would have been the best part.
Yeah.
Easily.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I felt from this movie. It just was a bit disappointing. I was kind of hoping to see this franchise try to turn around and, give itself a second life, but this just felt unnecessary, and aside from the action, was pretty dull, and I don't think it's going to help this franchise. I think we're seeing it head towards
like they
the
had a
water.
one-hit wonder and they didn't know why it was so good. Like, oh, why did people really like this? And they've tried a few things and
I
they're
guess,
like, nope,
yeah,
still
but
haven't
The
recreated
same
it.
director has helmed all three of them. Like, he established this, so I don't know what went wrong with like the second movie, that it just has faded away into like obscurity, like it feels like.
But looking at the first one and the second one, they were almost completely based in technology. Like the films had so much technology in them.
Spy gadgets and
you know what we're gonna take away? The technology aspect, like which was a giant part of these movies. Obviously, they're relationship movies driven by good to great character actors.
Yeah.
But there's technology in literally every scene, whether it's with glasses or certain spy tools or planes or guns or whatever. There was always something going on. This one, they're like, no, we're going to go to a time pre-technology.
Right, where, they had nothing. But it was just such an odd movie. Like, I think it would have been a cool period piece spy thriller war movie on its own.
Just as a standalone, yeah.
Yeah, but it kind of was forgetting that it was a franchise until the very end of the movie, and they were like, oh yeah, how do we tie this in? We'll make a Secret Service. And it's like, where, how did you get to that conclusion in this movie? Like, none of the lessons we learned along the way tie into that at all. So yeah, just overall a bummer for me, aside from those few action scenes and Rasputin.
Oh, did you see Matrix at all?
No, I haven't gotten around to that one.
No Matrix. That's interesting because Matrix was, I think, tracking to be like number 3 opener and maybe even number 2.
Matrix was tracking as number 2 highest behind Spider-Man.
I just could not. I just couldn't see how that could happen. Everybody knows that families go at Christmas, like the family film. If you're not gonna, which Spider-Man still is like a 4-quadrant film, so that works. So I just always knew Scene was gonna be number 2.
No, but I mean, this just justifies the fact that the tracking system of awareness that the film companies use is very flawed. Not kind of flawed or works sometimes. It's very flawed.
Right.
I mean, I'm not surprised by the results of Matrix, but that tracking stuff is weird because even for me, who, doesn't quite have that sort of access, even I was thinking that Sig 2 was going to be overtaking Matrix.
Yeah.
Like, that makes the most sense.
They weren't even in the same
I feel bad for
ballpark.
Warner's on this because Warner's, I think, way overestimated what Matrix was going to do, was too optimistic on it.
It would have done a little better without the day and date release, but maybe also Christmas wasn't the right date for it either.
Again, it's a rated R title at Christmas. So
But the last one was what, 2003?
Yeah, it's
you
a
have to
pretty
do
old franchise.
You have to do something. I mean, you have to really build this thing up.
Yeah.
You can't just say, Christmas, we're here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not
or
every
on HBO Max.
20, 30-year-old franchise having a new edition is going to work. Like, just because Star Wars had to come back. But Star Wars had built this whole
Star Wars literally
ecosystem in the time between the movies. Like, there was all this mythology created and all this fan interaction and all this merchandising. Like, it kept
passed down generations to generations too, more so than Matrix.
We didn't have that really with
trailers, posters up for not Force Awakens, but like Phantom Menace, like 2 years in advance, like it was Avatar.
Yeah,
like it was as big as it could get because it was built up and built up and built up.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why the Force Awakens did so well, is because numbers 1, 2, and 3 were so underwhelming.
Right.
That was a part of it too.
That number 7 coming along needed to be big, and it was going to be because it was better than those 3, and there hadn't been a franchise pusher since 82.
Yeah, most marketing these days, when it comes to movies, they really make sure to have the majority of it be a few weeks before a release date. But maybe with something like Matrix, they should have started the bulk load of it a bit earlier, or later, a bit earlier.
The Matrix was
than
one
those
of those
few weeks out.
First ones that was really like digital marketing. I remember that being part of their whole...
And they had some great marketing.
Their whole
stuff.
platform.
Yeah, it was good.
And all the special effects and blah, blah, blah. But you weren't going to blow away people with special effect. You're not going to anymore.
We're so used to it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Short
mean,
of Kyle's favorite Avatar 2, you're not gonna change the world of special effects.
I feel like, and I feel like Avatar 2 Avatar only blew people out of the water because of the 3D element, because we
Correct.
hadn't had that. Now we're over all that. I don't know what the next big thing is, but I don't think we were gonna see that in Matrix.
No, we weren't. I mean, the first Matrix, it was a testament to like action and special effects too at the time, but we've just have come a long way since then, and things like Avatar and Star Wars have certainly helped that to where a Matrix 4 can still be exciting because there's nostalgia elements to it, and there is like a very dedicated fan base to the Wachowskis and to the Matrix, but it's just not on the level to where most of the other blockbusters have been like lately, or even back when the first one came out.
When we were looking at this and I was putting it everywhere, I had Matrix solidly number 3, in the thing, but I was really worried about it. I felt that going into it, I was really concerned that Matrix was going to play like Suicide Squad 2 did, where it's a big film.
The Suicide
Squad, but whatever. Suicide
Thank you,
Squad,
Ken.
the second one.
Important clarification there.
Where it's a big film, well-known name, high tracking, should have a big opening, but it was rated R and it was available on streaming. And what we're seeing is that teenagers and young adults are pretty much the ones spearheading the movement to go back to theaters. And so rated R is a tough sell because they can't all get into that. And I thought that Matrix would play more like Suicide Squad did rather than Dune, because Dune had a more friendly rating. So people wanted to go see that more in the theater. Now, Matrix has special effects, and you were hoping that would carry you through a little bit more, and I think it did to a certain extent, but I really think R and being day and date hurt it because of the driving force going to the theater. Because stay home, watch it at home for free on HBO Max, and I think that's what happened quite a bit to it. Wouldn't underestimate the amount of revenue lost. And it's just perception too. I mean, how much perception did that film and tarnish that reputation of that film by having it be in day and date at this point?
Yeah, I mean, and this was obviously one of those films, if it worked, they were going to make 2 or 3 or 5 more.
Yeah.
That's why they put in a younger cast and replaced some of the faces that you knew.
Mm-hmm.
So they could build off of that. And now they've ruined, a Warner Brothers centric franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is one of the franchises WB is known for.
Yep.
And now there's no reason to touch it for another 20 years.
Not a lot of interest, I don't think.
No.
Yeah, probably
in
right.
that. Same thing with Kingsman. Not a lot of interest in that franchise.
Well, you could do a postquel now.
Yeah.
Or a prequel, like Stone Age.
You can do anything with this franchise.
You could go any era, like
Doesn't
Assassin's
matter.
Creed.
An era.
Yeah, I don't know when I'll see Matrix. Maybe I'll get around to it.
Pass.
But Kingsman, not so much.
Yeah. Kind of sad. I was kind of excited for Kingsman, but then as all the release dates got pushed around, and then at Christmas just wasn't the right time. It just kind of fizzled out for me on that.
Pushing it back a year because of the pandemic, I think that did help or not benefit it as well. I think people kind of forgot even more so about this franchise.
Yeah.
Because I think even the last one was 17, something like that. So, and at this point, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. No, the only franchise that can last that long of a layover, and we saw it when we went to sing in the theaters, is Minions.
Yeah.
God,
They had
apparently.
the Illumination title card before Sing 2. The whole audience went crazy for the Minions. And they didn't even do anything.
You sure we're
They were
not in
just-
Spider-Man?
They were just singing.
He said,
They were just singing.
"Illumination!"
They were just singing Illumination, and the kids were going ape shit. All of them were going crazy.
So
Like they were at a concert.
Our show,
It's like they saw the Beatles.
our show for Sing was mostly sold out, and just the front rows were empty, and it was, I would say, 80% children.
Yeah,
It
sure.
was overwhelmingly amount of children. In
2
this
adults
theater.
with at least 3 kids.
I
Right.
was like really happy. to have my children there because I was like, oh, no one's gonna care if they chatter, like because they like to talk.
Oh
in
no,
the
you
Yeah.
film.
could
Yeah.
barely hear the movie.
You
Yeah.
accept it. Yeah.
And when there were funny scenes, you could hear kids laugh and then repeat what the
Yeah.
phrase. So it wasn't just my children doing it. So I liked that part. So that was all fun. But yeah, they did freak out for the Minions in the beginning of the film, and that is a weird, enduring franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy.
They can go to any era.
Yeah.
They could do anything if it put a Minion in it, and they would be like, "This is amazing."
They found the yellow ticket, but
yeah.
Yeah.
Weird yellow tickets.
hey, don't question it. Just lean into it.
No, I remember when that came out, we thought it was going to be too weird.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing behind the Minions is like, you really had to buy into it. And then everybody did. Everybody's like, this is fine.
And wait, when the first one came out, what year was that? Was that 2012?
Oh, you have to look at
2014?
it.
I'll have to
It's
look that
a
up.
long time ago.
So I was gonna say it's nearly been 10 years. Like
Yeah.
the kids who first grew up with like the first Despicable Me movie are probably now in high school, and now there's
weird to
like
think.
another era of young kids who are like
Yeah.
screaming at rock as if it's a rock concert for the Minions. It's just insane.
Yeah.
You know
well,
what?
you lock them inside and all you have are what was on streaming movies for the last 18 months.
Oh my
And
god,
luckily
it's 10
there's-
years old.
Yeah. And luckily there's 4 of those films and then all the mini movies.
Oh, yeah.
And
There's probably a show somewhere. I don't know.
oh yeah, there definitely is.
Well, because they have their own movies now, and they're part of the Despicable Me, so you get a double dose.
They're
in that
part of
franchise.
Peacock. They have their
Yeah.
own YouTube show. It's a whole thing.
This was in 2010. How is that possible?
Oh, Kyle feels old for the first time in the history of the
How
podcast.
is that? That's crazy.
Mark it.
We got him.
Feel old, Kyle.
This is the moment where he realizes he's not with it anymore. He's like, "What's happening?"
Time has passed me by.
It
Here
happens
it
to
comes.
everybody, and
Is this a gray hair?
yeah, it happens to everybody younger and younger. I swear,
I think the pandemic had something to do with it, though.
probably accelerated things.
Yeah. Or I don't know. Maybe during the pandemic, a lot of older people got TikTok and then they feel young again. While meanwhile, I didn't do it. So maybe
Yeah.
my gray hairs are coming sooner.
TikTok, do you mean like got a new wristwatch?
Okay, I feel better now. Okay.
All right. Well, let's do this article real quick that we saw
Right.
about Uskanus Fork or Omicron or
Yeah.
Go
So-
away.
Demigod or whatever it is.
Go away.
So we just
Omicron.
not want to start
Optimus
off
Prime.
the new year like on a negative note by any means. We are very hopeful for the next year, as evidenced by how well Spider-Man's been doing. But
Yeah.
there's still a virus and there's a new variant, and it is bothering people out there. So it seems
bothering
it is. It seems like it's might be an issue, and as people came together a lot for the holidays, we might see a big surge of it in the first quarter of next year. All that being said, I think there's people in countries taking it a little far, and France is one of them. Like, what are they doing, Ken? They are
eating their pommes and pouring their wine and their baguettes,
yeah,
but not at the movies.
not at the movies. Right. So they've banned concessions for a few weeks. And I just
Sacre bleu.
hope that mentality doesn't come over here at all. I think at this point we need to learn to live with this virus. We need to move on. People obviously want to be out and be at the theater, and I don't think
Oh, yeah.
doing things like banning concessions, like the government intervention of that, is very helpful at all. And
Not for our industry.
it's not. I don't think it's going to change anything. Banning movie theater concessions is not going to turn the tides.
Like,
of
people are
this.
still interacting with each
Yeah.
other. Not everywhere has mask mandates. So it,
Go to the cinema. Was that the popcorn? Are you out of your mind?
It's just so sad, and I just hope that that doesn't take on here, because I really do think we need to start moving on to a certain extent. Like, I don't think we need government intervention to tell us that we can't sell concessions. Like, there are vaccinations, there are booster shots. We've done all that
we have
can.
the choice.
Yeah.
Theaters will not be able to survive without concessions.
That's worse
Unless
than
the-
shutting down.
They might as well. They would be better off just shutting down rather than being open and getting 60% or 50% of that ticket, and that's it. There's no way they can survive off that. They need the concession money. And so by telling them that they can't sell concessions, you might as well be dooming them to be closed. It would be cheaper for them to not run their projector than to run it on only what they're getting out of the box office.
I also just don't believe people care anymore.
No.
After seeing the results of Spider-Man, how could you? How
Right.
could you think people actually care now?
Let them eat cake.
I don't know if I saw a single mask at our sold out show.
Same.
I
Same.
mean,
and granted,
lobby
we're
or
not
anything.
we're not in a highly populated area, so that's bound to be less of a thing than some other places. But I wouldn't be shocked if it was kind of like that for the majority of these locations with these types of theaters that we're helping, similar to what we
just
saw
don't-
from like a chain at the place that we're living at.
I just don't know how you could justify it at this point. Like, it was one thing very early in the pandemic to be like, we need to stem the tide. Like, let's do this to hold everything back. But we're beyond that point now. And so I don't know what justification you could have for doing something like that here. And I mean, I feel like it's just the French overreacting to it, but I don't want that perception of what's happening over in Europe and stuff start coloring, because it's not the middle of America that is the problem. It's the coasts. It's the New York, LA. It's where the executives live. It's them looking at release schedules now globally and wanting to push back dates because they don't have access to some of these markets now because those markets are overreacting. It just starts a domino effect, and I hate to see that happen already. Like, it's nothing in our control, and in this country I think we're fine and we're moving on, but I would hate to have something like the fear in France or in England or one of those places change and color the perception for executives in this country, and now we start having things like Morbius move back, because we really need Morbius. Morbius is going to anchor January. Like,
Spider-Man will eventually die down.
Yeah. Everybody will have seen it at some point.
People will be done with the holidays. Basically everyone would have seen it twice.
Yeah.
Probably would have gotten COVID at that point too.
Yeah.
So,
Everyone has seen the Rouge Arachnid at the French cinema.
Rouge Arachnid.
yeah, I mean, and I'm still fine with people obviously, taking precautions and masking up, trying to find seats. That's not the issue here. The issue is that this industry can't afford to
be told they can't do things like sell concessions, or they have to restrict capacity, or any of that awful stuff that we went through that nearly killed our industry. I don't know if we could survive another blow like what 2020 and 2021 did to us. So
at this point it's mostly on the public. It's mostly on the moviegoers to decide, what's good for themselves, what's good, what's worth going out to see, and that will affect some of the other types of releases as well, which is unfortunate. But just for the time being, if it's still sticking around like it is, the industry I think still just has to persevere and push forward as it is, and the audiences just
I think it shows how resilient. I don't know any other industry that could literally be shut down for a year and then come roaring back up like it has. It's just
that's one of the biggest takeaways for me of this year when it comes to this industry. And, seeing, that sort of resiliency happening when everyone got together at CinemaCon. It really was special. And that was probably like one of my big takeaways of this year.
One of your highlights.
Yeah, absolutely.
My highlight will be seeing Jared Leto playing a white bloodsucker in 2022.
Oh.
I just hope he brings his House of Gucci accent over somehow.
Yeah.
Oui.
Why not? Do it for every movie now.
Uh-oh, he's pigeonholed into
C'est
something.
incroyable.
This means we should move on. Do we have anything else to talk about here?
No, we just want to wrap up what we thought about 2021.
Yeah, crazy year.
Anything
a lot
we should
happened.
anticipate for next year?
What was that?
Anything we should anticipate for next year? We've got some big films coming out next summer. I
Yeah.
mean, I think next year in the summer will be on par with what we saw maybe like pre-COVID.
That
yes,
would be
it will
nice.
be on par with Avengers Endgame.
Pre-COVID.
You get out of here. Okay,
There's a range of
what movie?
years.
Yeah.
She's
We'll
she's
never
leapfrogging
the last
after
summer pre-COVID.
We'll never have
she's
another.
leapfrogging after lowballing the Spider-Man.
We'll never have another
results.
Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
Spider-Man was
Or Star Wars.
knocking on the door. I mean, this is the second biggest opening ever. Now, speaking of somebody underestimating the resilience of you folks that are listening to this
I thought
podcast,
you would forget about this.
No.
I should have just
We
been like,
finally-
oh, we're wrapped
I
up.
finally decided as your treat
I knew I
for
could
the end
count
of
on you.
2021,
Guys, I
Cody-
doubled down. I
Cody-
have to have 2 films.
Cody
now.
will be
Wow.
watching the James Stewart classic, Shenandoah.
What is that? I've never even heard of that one.
It's a Western starring Jimmy Stewart as a cowboy.
Does
Boy,
he get
that'll be
shot in
extra.
it?
That'll be extra obnoxious for you. No, he's the
Do
star.
they
He's
poison
not
the
gonna
well
get
and he
shot.
drinks
no, they
from
didn't.
it?
They didn't
Does
shoot
he fall
the
in it?
stars. John Wayne died
Darn.
twice, and both those movies were terrible.
Darn it. Okay.
And then I decided the most annoying movie I could choose
For my
For-
action movie.
for your
Man.
doubling down and saying
Yeah.
that it wouldn't cross 175 million, which it did by 30%,
Okay.
is the 1987 classic Over the Top, starring Sylvester Stallone, about him being a championship arm wrestler who drives semi trucks.
Oh my gosh. Arm wrestling? Are you kidding me?
Yes, I decided it's the most 80s movie I could find. Kyle,
Oh
do you
my
have a picture?
gosh.
Do you have the
Judging
poster
by
of
the
that to
pictures
show
I've
Cody?
What
Saying,
year
yeah.
did it come out?
87?
I mean, I've
The year
seen
you were born.
I've seen him wear this exact same tank top like in all of this.
It's a movie about an arm wrestling trucker.
Oh my gosh, it's all arm. It's just
Yeah,
all
that's
arm.
that's the only thing that you see in the poster, and then a little bit of Stallone.
So if you
I
want to
feel like Kurt Russell wore the same tank top and
everything,
stop trying to fit Big Trouble into Little China into every one of
Maybe-
No, I
you can
almost,
watch it
that
after
one.
your
I
punishment.
almost gave you Tango and Cash because Kurt Russell's in it.
Oh, that would have
Yeah.
been nice.
No, but this is better. This is more
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
This is like 4 montages in it.
Is that the trophy they win? Like the silver eagle in the background of the.
That's the ornament on the hood of the semi truck you win if you are the best arm wrestler.
If you
You win a
okay.
semi truck?
Yes.
Well, they are truck drivers, so I guess this stands to reason.
Oh,
Oh, this is great.
So you can watch along with Cody, and when we do the podcast next week, she will have viewed both of these films.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I feel like the 80s were such a simpler time. Let's just do an arm wrestling action movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't have global pandemics in the 80s.
You
They just
can
had-
you
they just
can't,
had fun
you can't
stuff
really
like-
make an arm wrestling movie around that. I don't think.
Didn't AIDS
Cocaine
start in
and
the
Don
80s?
Johnson in a Ferrari, and everything was great in the 80s.
I thought the AIDS epidemic started in the 80s. Or was that all 90s?
We're talking
Late-
about the good stuff.
Yeah.
Why
Why are we talking about sad?
You said there was no
things?
pandemic.
There was nothing bad that happened in the 80s. Ever.
Okay.
Let's see it through
you think-
rose-colored glasses, like everyone
Do
else
you think
does.
they would have had time to make an arm wrestling trucker movie in the 80s if bad things were happening? No. Nope.
Only good things in this world.
Only good things.
Okay.
All right.
Do you want to triple down?
No, I don't want to triple down.
Be good.
I hate gambling for this very reason. I'm being punished.
Because you're bad at it.
I'm bad at it and I'm being punished.
Well, that's
awful.
a good way to end 2021, huh?
Tune in next week for Cody's review of Shenandoah and Over the Top.
Gee,
Maybe
I
I'll
wonder.
get some good pointers and I'll become an arm wrestling champion.
Yep.
That'll be my secret weapon.
Maybe you'll start driving a semi for a living.
Yeah, that too.
Ken,
I
that
can
might be
barely
your
crawl
dream.
into it, 'cause I'm short, but that'll work.
Me and my trucking mama,
Toot toot.
you were too short to drive a semi.
The door probably wouldn't
You couldn't
even
reach the door.
the handle of
No,
the door.
you can reach the bottom of the door. All right, can we say that's a wrap on 2021?
Yes, now 2021 has ended.
Great.
All right.
Great, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the podcast. You can find it on all podcast platforms and over at silverscreeninsider.com, where if you're a theater owner or manager needing updating accurate information for all the upcoming releases and marketing assets to help with your social media promotions, check us out there. And have a happy new year. Congrats, everyone, for
We made
sticking
it.
through it.
We're all here still.
Yeah.
Most
We're
of
still
us
going strong.
Yeah,
too.
it's crazy. Pat yourselves on the back, guys.
Yeah.
Like this was there was a lot of hardships in this year, but there was also good things.
A lot of
Yeah.
good reasons to celebrate 2021 and look forward to 2022, especially Codi's review next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.